So now my next question comes, which of these drivers do you want to test? If you think in terms of the number of drivers that exist for GEMS, right? Let's think in terms of our model variations. So these were the different model variations that we tried, right? And now what we want to do is we want to delve into essentially how much is GEMS really worth. We want to do a more detailed, more in-depth valuation analysis, right? So as part of that valuation analysis, we've seen a few things. We've seen what are the most sensitive core key assumptions, sensitive assumptions. So one assumption is fees per student that we'd like to test. One assumption is expense per student. Right? So these are the sensitive assumptions that we're trying to identify, and we want to understand what kind of changes will actually lead to that's what I want to look for. Yeah, what kind of assumptions will have an impact on the valuation model? So you've got fees per student, you've got expenses per student. What else? If you go back to your model, your simplified model, think in terms of what are your biggest items, right? Which items do you want to test? So if you go back to your financial model here, you can see, there you go. So your one big item is this, which is staff expense. And you're covering that how? You're covering that from a focus point of view, covering that through teaching expense per student, right? What else? Rental and operational lease. This is another big item. This item, how do you test? This item you test through setting the lease payment per year. So these are the two big ones, right? Then you've got other expenses, then you've got operating expense, then you've got your financial expense, and this is linked to the amount of money you've borrowed. So that's not part of the model directly, but that comes from your amount of debt that you carry on your balance sheet, right? So you've got these two items, staff expense is this one, and then revenue. Gross revenue is based on what? Gross revenue is based on, oh, this is 18. Gross revenue is based on two drivers, and those drivers are essentially a mix of your product mix and revenue per student. So it's revenue per student and students per growth in number, this factor, right? This factor determines what happens. So this growth in number of students is also an important factor. So I'll take these two also. I'll take growth in number of schools and growth in number of students. So where were we? This is sensitive factors. Sensitive factors. So I'm going to put in growth in number of students and growth in number of schools. And then I've got my, my terminal growth rate, which has a really big part, terminal growth rate / final growth rate, right? It plays a big part in the overall valuation figure. Anything else you'd like to test or check? If I go back to the valuation model, if you see value of projected cash flow, this 1.811 million, right? This comes from these values here. So you're looking at essentially 2019. There you go. You're looking at 2019, 2021, all the way up to 2026. So I've taken these and I'm taking a present value of these factors, right? Now, when I say 2019, what does that mean? That basically means I'm standing at the start of 2019, not the calendar year, the fiscal year, the reporting year for GEMS, and as part of that process, I'm simply calculating the cash flows at the end of that year, the reporting period, and discounting them, right? This is the first part. Then I say, 371. This 371 it's not going to stay 371. It's hopefully, we expect, as things improve, things get better, it's hopefully going to grow at some stable, constant rate. So from a valuation perspective, what we normally do is we say, when you model cash flows, we model cash flows to a point where the business enters a stable growth rate. So in the beginning years, you might actually grow at a much faster rate, at a much faster clip, then that growth may start to slow down. And we saw that with, Maya also earlier. But here we're saying, what is the rate at which GEM is going to grow once it hits stability? So you assume that growth into perpetuity. Now, given the fact that GEM's a large part of the education system, it's not a small school system. Roughly represents about 50 to 60% of school-going students in Dubai. And then it has a couple schools in Abu Dhabi and a couple schools in Sharjah, right? But for Dubai itself, it's got a big, thick chunk. So in that specific market, if GEM's already 50 to 60%, it's going to be difficult for it to grow at a much faster rate than, let's say, the local economic growth, right? So we cap it. So the reason why we picked 2% or 3% for our purposes was we said, if the economy of Dubai is going to grow at, let's say, 2 to 3%, GEM's not going to grow faster than that. If it expands outside, right? If it expands outside of UAE, let's say expands in Saudi Arabia or Egypt or the other parts of the Middle East, then the growth may pick up. And they're doing that. Unfortunately, I think what we've seen in the past is that when they do these expansion projects, they are done outside of, they create a separate holding company. So existing shareholders or lenders are not going to benefit from that growth.